Well, good morning, Curd Nerds. Happy to see everybody on the chat this morning. We'll just wait a few seconds before we start the show and get it all going. I'll just check whether the stream gods are happy with me today. Says it's all healthy. That's good to know. So YouTube is receiving the information. There we go. Excellent. So on board this morning we have MJ, we've got Joy, we've got Leonardo, we've got Kim, of course, the moderator. So no naughty boys and girls today. We've also got Guitar Player 38. Welcome on board. Got Ladybug Lover, and we've got Philip. G'day, Philip. How are you? Gadir. Hello, how are you? Oh, it's my first coffee for the morning. It's so good. Okay, let's get this show on the road. G'day, Ben. Alrighty.
Well, g'day, Curd Nerds. G'day, Curd Nerds.
Well, g'day, Curd Nerds.
Well, g'day, Curd Nerds.
Well, g'day, Curd Nerds. Well, g'day, Curd Nerds. Well, welcome everybody. This is episode 53 of Ask the Cheeseman, where you can ask your home cheese making questions, any burning ones, of course, and I'll attempt in my best possible way to answer them. Now, don't guarantee that I can answer everybody's question. However, if you have a burning question and you absolutely want to get it answered, then don't forget there's Super Chat down there. It goes to the top of the list, and I'll get to that straight away. It's also a nice little way to donate to the show so we can keep it going. Kim and I can take an hour out of our busy week to bring this to you. The patron of the week, one of the supporters on Patreon, is Doug. Thank you very much, Doug, for your kind patronage ongoing monthly. Now, the cheese videos that are in production at the moment, I've just got to finish the voiceover for Same on Cell, which is a blue Alpine kind of cheese. Very different. I think you'll enjoy that one. And I've got raclette under production as well. There's been so many requests for raclette. And I actually go back to full-time work next week. So I will have to rack up a few more cheeses before I go. Okay, now this week, what I'm going to be asking for is something from you guys, and that are cheese requests. So throughout the show, if you've got a cheese that you don't think that I've covered and you think that will be popular, one that I've missed, then please shout out. That would be fantastic, and I'll dig out a recipe. So I'll just mention some of the most popular cheeses that I've got on the channel is, would you believe, cheddar. That is between that and the quick mozzarella, they are the top two most viewed videos on the channel. And they're both over, I think it's about 1.7 million views per video, which is pretty cool. So they're the two top popular ones. So I've done many cheeses, and I'll let you know if I've done one. And Kim can pop the link in, which is cool. So that's all fantastic. A few more shout outs. We've got, where we go? We got Ben, I think it's Kai Seeker. I hopefully got that right. NKY Homesteading, Sailor by Choice. We got Tizio, Fem Elf, Martin, Charlie. Good morning, Charlie. Ricardo, Vostolia. Where are we? We got Hartwig. We got Ash. And anyway, so no links at the moment, honey. We'll just I'll get on with the questions. And If people have got cheeses that they're after during the show, then just give us a shout out. And if I haven't made it already, I'll put it on the cheesy list. I'm going to compile a big spreadsheet and put dates to them. I keep promising cheeses and, don't seem to be delivering, but I keep promising cheeses, but I'll have to get stuck right into them. Anyway, so first question today is from... So have a look. Ladybug Lover says, I was wondering, can you make cheese from chocolate milk? Unfortunately not. Most chocolate milks are ultra pasteurized and they won't set a curd because those flavored milks, what they do, they use dare I say, the dregs of the milk thing. And they want to extend their life so they get maximum possible sales. So they ultra pasteurize that milk. Plus chocolate tends to make the cheese bitter. Plus the additional sugar they put in chocolate milk, it tends to ferment and turn into alcohol, and you'll get a really winey sort of smell to your cheese. Sorry about that. What you can do is rub chocolate over the outside, or cacao over the outside of the cheese, and it actually gives it a nice thick rind and a kind of a bitter taste to the rind. So that's one thing you can do. Anyway, Martin says, what is a good place to store cheese? In your cheese cave, of course. That's the best place. And a cheese cave is simply a dorm fridge or a bar fridge. We call them bar fridges over here in Australia. Just a small, what's the size of it? 200 litre, 20 litre? I'm not sure. Small anyway. It fits under a bench. And I've got an external thermostat on that. And Kim can put up a video, if you could please, love. The cheese fridge video. I think, hang on, more coffee. That'll fix it. Okay. Where are we? All right. Another question. I'm sure I've got one here somewhere. Sorry. Sailor by Choice says, do you know anything about the now legal in my area edible? No, I don't. Sorry. Could I make cheese fondue? It's a popular Swiss dish. Yes, I actually do have some Gruyere left. And that's one of the essential ingredients of a Swiss fondue is Gruyere. So I do have some of that left. So yeah, I'll get stuck into that. Okay, Philip says, I've made a raclette and I've just started eating it. What's the best way to melt it? Grate and then grill. I've tried it in the fry pan, but it seems to go brown before melting. Best way to make raclette melty is to grill it. It's the only way. Frying pan doesn't work because the fats kind of like separate straight away because there's just too much heat. So heating from above seems to work a lot better. From what I've seen from the, there's two types of home raclette melter thingos. There's one that makes the cheese stand up, how do I describe it, on its end, and that gets heated from above like that. And then there's like this frying pan version. On the top, you cook certain things, and in the bottom you have these little trays that you put a slice of the cheese and you put it under and it gets grilled, and there's like 8 slots for cheese. So that's quite popular. I've seen a lot of those pop up online on appliance stores here in Australia. It seems to be a big trend at the moment. Everybody wants to have a raclette party. But I think one of those big grill things, it'd get used once, and the novelty will wear off. So it's better to use it on your kitchen grill if you've got one. Most ovens here in Australia have a grill in the oven. Just put a few slices in there in a non-stick dish, and then, yeah, Bob's your uncle. So hopefully that helps, Philip. Okay. Samon, unfortunately, I can't speak that language, so I will have to move on. FML says there are special ones. Where are we? Joy says, cheese suggestion, a provolone that acidifies by sitting out overnight and stretches the next day. I just made your recipe that way and it worked out just fine. Provolone. Yeah, okay, Joy, that sounds really good because I really did struggle with provolone. So I will try my recipe once again. I know it was a bit of a disaster, that video that went up. So I think if I have the patience just to leave it overnight and it'll acidify properly, and I'll be able to stretch it and make a massive big thingo of provolone. Might add chilies to it, chili flakes to it this time. Silverlicious says, I've just recently watched a few of your vids. Very nice work. I recently visited Weyerhaeuser Dairy, I think that's how you pronounce it, in Wisconsin. Very good cheese there. Yes, well, Wisconsin is the dairy capital of the US, I think. Joy can say that because she's from there too. Gadia says, I've tried traditional mozzarella several times. I would like to make dry mozzarella for pizza, but can't get good melting properties as in store-bought pizza cheese. Any hints? I think you'll find that most of the store-bought stuff that's shredded is actually a mixture of mozzarella and cheddar. There's a tip for you. There's a bit of a trick. Yeah, traditional mozzarella does melt, but it doesn't melt like string cheese. What they do is they keep the curds aside for weeks and weeks, cold storage, and then they put it into a big vat and pour hot water over it, make it extra stringy. I've recently been sent a few links to some videos around how they do proper traditional mozzarella. And it could be that if you're not using buffalo milk, that's why it won't melt properly. If you're using cow's milk, it certainly doesn't have the same property that buffalo milk mozzarella has. So you probably need to use buffalo milk. Because here I find the same kind of thing. The quick mozzarella I make melts, it kind of goes flat, and then when it's put into our pizza oven, the really hot one that I've got a video on, it does melt, it goes flat, but it's still white, and it goes brown on top, which is nice, a nice flavour. Traditional mozzarella kind of spreads out a lot more, but I dare say any buffalo mozzarella you buy would just be perfect. Absolutely stringy, just like you want. Okay, thank you, Kim, for that link. Ladybug Lover says, are you going to make a video of you buying store cheeses and then tasting them, taste testing them to your cheese? I think that's what, yeah, cheese, right. Yeah, good question. That sounds like a nice little video. Store-bought versus made. I think that's what you're trying to say. Versus homemade. Yeah, that's a good idea. Thank you very much, Ladybug Lover. Appreciate it. NKY Homesteading. Are there any Alpine cheese traditionally made with goat's milk? We have goats coming this year. None that I can think of. Most of them are made from cow's milk because they take the herds up into the mountains where the meadows are. So that would be interesting. Really there's so many goat's cheeses. I don't have a lot of recipes for them because it is difficult to get goat's milk unless you've got your own goats, of course. Like you seem to be going to get there. I don't even know that. What's the proper English, was it? Look, just go for some of the favourites like, I can't even think. Manchego is one of my absolute favourites, made with goat's milk. Obviously feta, but you might have to get your hands on some sheep's milk. However, the goat's milk recipe that I have is very, very good for that. But no, Alpine cheeses, I haven't come across a lot that are made with goat's milk. Sorry about that. Kim says, could you blowtorch the raclette? I suppose you could. That would work, Kim. Thank you for that suggestion. Famelf, we actually use those big grill things for holidays in the Netherlands. Basically, everybody cooks their own little dishes. We don't use it for raclette. Yeah, you could blowtorch. Good. Thanks. Joy says Wisconsin is America's dairyland. Very cool. It's a bit like there's a couple of places in Australia that have a lot of dairy. So in the cooler parts of Australia, so here in Victoria, in the Otway Ranges and Gippsland is our main dairy producing areas, as well as um, New South Wales, northern New South Wales and southern New South Wales in the Highlands. Very big dairy areas here in Australia as well. Okay. Hartwig says, my milk, cow, sheep, and goat is raw milk from certified organic farming. Do I have to pasteurize every milk or can I process it raw? It's up to you. If you believe that the source is okay, then use it raw. However, it is all dependent on you. I'm not going to recommend either way because I've made cheese both ways, but followed some strict guidelines when using raw milk for making cheese here in Australia. We have probably the strictest rules in the planet. When you do get your hands on raw milk, there's only certain types of cheese that you can make. So it's up to you. You don't have to pasteurize it if you don't want to. I'll leave the choice yours, Hartwig. Guitar player, what is the best type of milk to make cheese? Well, Hartwig kind of struck upon it. Raw milk is the absolute best. If you can get it within 3 hours of milking and start making your cheese there, that is the absolutely best time to make cheese from raw milk. Or pasteurized, unhomogenized milk. And there is a video, if Kim's quick off the mark, about the different types of milk you can buy from the store, which are the best. Kind of translates worldwide. I picked as many varieties as I possibly could. Nicole says, I'm late to the party. Oh, hello, Nicole. Never too late to the party. I really enjoy your videos. Can you tell me what kit is the best to get started? It depends on where you are. I find that there's a couple of kits I'd recommend as the good starters. It depends on what cheese you want to start with. If you want to go straight into hard cheeses, you couldn't go past the hard cheese kit that we kind of supply. I don't know if Kim will be able to put the link up. She probably will be. Hard cheese kit's a good place to start. I wouldn't go much past there. Like, don't go to Bloomy Rinds and all that sort of stuff and blue cheeses straight up because they're really prone to failure. So, yeah, hard cheese kit or even the soft cheese kit. Or even, as you can see, one of the ones up the back here. Whoop, that way. Oh, there it is. The fresh cheese kit's pretty good. You can make halloumi, a few rennet cheeses and stuff from that one. And that's a good starting point as well. So something simple, something that has comprehensive instructions like all the kits that we sell. So, yeah, a bit of a plug for ourselves, but we do have lots of kits online. And they're all in stock at the moment, I think, except for maybe the Greek yogurt kit. Okay. Seeker says, could you make Tete de Moines? I think that's how you pronounce it. It's a Swiss hard cheese, which is grated from the top in very thin strips. I'll write that down. Hang on. Might be difficult to find the recipe, but I'll do my best. Might have to watch a few videos in French to kind of get that out the way. So, Kim said, we actually spoke to someone recently who said they would like a video on good store cheeses and how to put a cheese platter. Yeah, okay, thanks, honey. Thanks for reminding me. My list is getting bigger and bigger, which is great because it's good interaction. Aleem, hello, how are you? Joseph says, hello, Gavin. I wanted to ask you if feta cheese can be done with only cow's milk and what additions should be done for it. Yes, you can. The very first feta that I made was with cow's milk. And if Kim can put up the list for the cow's milk feta, I think I've labelled it as that somewhere on the channel. It was one of the very early cheeses that I put up because it was the very first cheese that I ever made was cow's milk feta. It's a lot creamier. It's like a Danish feta. It doesn't tend to crumble like goat's milk feta and the traditional Greek feta made with sheep's milk and goat's milk. So It's more of a creamy feta, but it does taste equally as nice in its own special way. Only thing that you change, the only additive I would say, besides rennet and the starter culture if you're using pasteurized milk, is lipase. And lipase is a pregastric enzyme. It comes from there's a gland at the back of the tongue of calf, calves, kids, and piglets, and that's how they extract it. And that enzyme breaks down the fats and gives you that piquant flavour, the sharpness that you get from anything made with goat's milk. Okay, so hopefully that helps. And Kim's got a link. There it is. She has. Well done, love. HMA, Mr. Weber, first, congratulations. Your videos are the best. How many litres I have to use to get a 5 kilo Parmesano? I think it's Parmesan. 5 kilograms. You would need 50 litres of milk. And remember, it's semi-skim milk, so it's 2% milk. 50, probably need more. 55 litres of milk to make a cheese that big. There you go. And just 5 times the recipe that I use. Danny says, hello, Danny. When Stilton is nearing its 3-month mark, what should it look like? Usually it starts to get a bit of a red tinge to it. I don't know why, it just does. And it should maybe have some grey mould on the outside. However, that's just the outside mould. The blue mould started to die off on the outside. Hopefully when you slice it open, it'll have those beautiful blue-green veins throughout the cheese that make Stilton so popular. And when you taste it, it should taste creamy, but the sharpness of the blue. So that's kind of what you're looking for. Yeah, the outside looks a bit gnarly at the 3-month mark. What I tend to do with blue cheeses now is I tend to, after about a month after I pierced it, the blue development's fairly good. I tend to wrap it in foil for its last month because the outside starts to get a bit out of control and very hard to clean it up before you go and taste it. So, Danny, hopefully that helps. Alima says, my goats produce milk every day, so I learned cheese cooking, but cheese tastes dry and inconsistent from the cheese from sharp to mild to sour to mild. What am I doing wrong? Probably nothing, because during the lactation stage of each different type of ruminant, they produce different fat contents and they produce different protein contents. So as they wean off their calves, the milk gets less and less. You get less and less milk solids. So you will get different types of cheeses during the different lactation stages of the goat. The best milk is probably a couple of weeks after the kid has calved. A kid has been born. Kid is calved. The kid has been born, and that'll be the best milk. And it kind of goes downhill after that. And you really have to make sure that the goat has consistent feed as well. So if it's being fed on pasture, then it's fed on pasture that whole time you're milking it. Don't go to dry food like hay or straw. They just won't get enough nutrients in the milk, and that won't flow through to the milk. Anyway, I'll move on. Silverlicious is having a chat to Joy. That's lovely. Thank you for those links, Kim. Much appreciated. Ladybug Lover says, are you going to make smoked cheese like Gouda? Well, I've made Gouda and I've made a smoked Gouda, smoke-flavoured Gouda, where I've used liquid smoke, and it was absolutely delicious. And Kim's got the link to the smoke-flavoured Gouda. But I haven't done any smoking of cheeses. I'm still waiting for some to ripen. I've actually got some halves of cheeses. I might give it a go. I've got a mate around the corner who does cold smoking, so I might just get onto that and figure that out. So, smoked cheeses. Yeah, it'd be really good to have homemade smoked cheeses compared to say, something else, a store-bought one. Okay, Guitar Player 38 says, what is your favourite type of cheese? Easy answer, all of them. Brizzy Girl, hi Gavin, I found your channel a week ago and I thoroughly enjoyed watching your videos. I'm getting the cheese making bug and you're a great inspiration. Love from Queensland. Thank you, Brizzy Girl. Appreciate it. Yeah, only just found me. I've been going for years. Okay. Alima, what region of the earth does cheese come from and how was cheese discovered to be made? Very good question. I've been reading a bit of cheese history, and cheese was first made in the Fertile Crescent in the Middle East, what's now the Middle East, and it was made by the first evidence that cheese was made by the Babylonians back in 2000 BCE, and it was a very simple curd cheese, mainly made from clabber. So clabber is basically raw milk that is turned sour, and then they drain the curds, and the whey comes out. And that was presented to the gods every day. So there was cheese made every single day as a tribute to the gods. What happened from there was that obviously somebody had to eat that cheese, couldn't let it go off. So the priests in the temple would then eat the cheese. And then over time, as more and more cultures got that cheese making technique from the Babylonians, then they started to experiment on cheeses and how to make rennet set cheeses and the like. So it was the Fertile Crescent was where the first evidence of cheese making has been found. Having said that, it could have been before 2000 BCE. I'm not too sure. I can't remember the dates from the book I read, but I know that's where it was made. So pretty cool. Okay, moving right along. Righty, where I'm up to. Super Amy, have a good day, everyone. Have a good day. Breezy Girl, so what sort of cheese would you recommend I try with our Aussie summers being so hot? I would stick to fresh cheeses in the summer. If you've got air conditioning, it doesn't really matter, because if you've got the aircon on while you're making cheeses, you'll be able to keep the target temperature, the initial target temperature before culturing, around about 30 degrees. You really don't want to make cheese on a hot day over 35 because the milk can spoil pretty quick. So yeah, soft cheeses are pretty quick. As long as you can keep your indoor temperature cooler than 25, so makes it a bit hard. I tend to make most of my hard cheeses and stuff during autumn, winter, and spring, and don't make so many. Only make on cheese on cool days here in Victoria. We do get the odd cool day in summer, so we have like 5 days of 40 degrees, and then it drops down to 18, like today is going to be. So today would be a perfect cheese making day. So you kind of got to, I'll start again. Hang on. This is what I need. You've got to pick your days, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, Vizio says, hi, Gavin. You going to tour the Cheese Cave sometime? I'd love to see it. Yes, I am. Here we go. So many ideas. I need to break the camera out straight after the live chat. Okay. Gideon says, thanks for your answer. Today I watched your video about pasteurisation. After completion of 30 minutes at 145 Fahrenheit, can I cool it down to 80 Fahrenheit, not cooling up to 40, and start making a cheese? Yes, I actually did say that in the video. As you're cooling your milk down, if you're making cheese straight away, cool it down to the target temperature of what your milk's going to be when you first add the starter culture, and go from there. If you want to use it later, you need to cool it down to 4 degrees Celsius or 40 Fahrenheit and put it straight in the fridge. There you go. NKY Homesteading, I have a video of smoking cheese. Oh, that's fantastic. And unfortunately, I don't think you guys can put links in there like Kim and I. So shoot me an email, NKY, and I'll have a look at it, and I'll link to it in one of the cheeses, one of the videos. I'll link back to it. So give you some cheesy love. Send that back to you. Okay, Ben says, where are the links supposed to show? The links are supposed to show in the chat. They're all there. I can see them. Guitar Player 38, I was going to try to make Parmesan, but it keeps breaking down. Not sure what you're talking about there. Is the curds breaking down, or is it during the pressing it breaks down, or during the stirring it breaks down? Please try to be a little bit more specific, or I'm guessing otherwise. Okay, Joy's chatting to everybody else. Where are we? Ladybug Lover, do you know what the best diet is for a cow if you want to make a very sharp cheddar? The best diet for a cow, full stop, is grass. It trumps any other type of food that they may be fed these days. So meadow or pasture is absolute best for a cow. That's what they're supposed to eat. Not grain, not hay, not silage. Any of those sorts of foodstuffs for cows does not produce the right type of milk. And really, a very sharp cheddar is basically produced by aging it longer. So hopefully you've got a cow fed on pasture and you age the cheddar for up to a year. That's how you get a sharp cheddar. Okay, Brizzy Girl says, have you ever tried making cheese from clabbered milk or kefir? No, I don't get raw milk very often. And kefir grains, I had some, but I killed them, unfortunately. It just wasn't the right time for me. So I'm going to have to get some more of those. But yes, I will. Seeker says, a similar cheese to Tete de Moine would be a Swiss Hobelkäse, which translates actually to fad cheese. It's eaten in rolls. Very delicious. Hobelkäse. Or was that K's? Hobelkäse. Writing that down. It's on the list. Okay. Joseph says, I heard you talking about smoking cheese. What is the best time to smoke cheese, after brining or after drying the cheese? From no experience whatsoever, the best time to smoke cheese is after it has matured. You want all the flavors in the cheese to naturally develop first before you go and smoke the cheese. You don't smoke the cheese before it's matured because that stops the maturation process. Although that addition of carbon into the cheese, kind of puts a dampener on the acidity of the cheese. It also kills off bacteria that die and turn into enzymes and eat the fat, or converts the fats into flavors. So yeah, you do it after it's mature, and then you smoke the cheese. Rachel says, question, is it possible to add apples in cheese and make the cheese that way? I would add dried apples, reconstituted dried apples would be the only way. Wouldn't put fresh apples in because they would just rot and rot your cheese. A lot of these fruit cheeses that you see, let me just set the scene, set it straight. So a lot of the fruit cheeses you see, they make the cheese normally, whether it be a cream cheese or whether it be a hard cheese. And basically they then shred the cheese and they mix in the fruit and then mold it, whether that be under pressure or what have you. It gets remolded with the fruit in it, and then it sells, and it has a use-by date of usually about a month if it's vacuum packed. That's how they put fruit into cheese. They don't put it in as they mature the cheese because it can throw the cheese's flora totally out of whack, so the cheese doesn't actually ripen properly. So that's how they put fruit and stuff in a cheese. There's a couple of fresh cheeses I normally put fruit into, or chilies or herbs or what have you. And that is queso fresco, which can be eaten the same day. Nice and simple. Dried herbs I often put into cheese that I'm going to mature for a long time because they're dry. They're not going to rot. So that's where they tend to put fruit and stuff. Okay, Deb B says, thanks for the live feed. You're welcome. I hope everybody remembers to hit the like button for you. I would really appreciate that because that shows YouTube that there's been a lot of interaction with the videos. So, as they say on the YouTubes, smash that like button if you like it. If you don't like it, hit the dislike button. Either way, it's an interaction. Okay. Ladybug Lover says, have you ever tried to make rainbow cheese? There's a dairy called the Rainbow Cow Creamery where they have rainbow cows. Fantastic. I've got more suggestions. So one just came into my head, and that's a marbled cheese. No, I haven't seen rainbow cheese. Marbled cheese, which is a combination of, say, Colby and Monterey Jack, or a yellow cheese mixed with a white cheese, and you get a yellow-white checkerboard effect. I've also seen cheeses made with one's a drunken cow, the curds from a drunken cow cheese, added to a white cheese, and that gives a red and white cheese marbling, which looks pretty cool. But I've absolutely got to get on to making a marbled sort of cheese as well. So I put that on the list. I've got so many suggestions. Fantastic. Keep them coming. But no, I haven't seen a rainbow cheese, but I will check that out. Rainbow cheese. Rainbow. Rightio. Nicholas says, what's the easiest milking animal to raise? Depends. I would say the goat. Cerberus says, yeah, goat. That's true. Because they're the most intelligent. And they're the most fun. Calves are very needy. I grew up on a dairy farm and used to have to go and feed the calves with a big milk bottle thing. Goats are quite independent. They're very quick off the teat. And, yeah, they seem to look after themselves a bit better. Sheep are dumb as well. They're not very clever. So goat, I would go a goat. If you got a bit of land, then it's probably best. If you want a milking animal, go for a goat. And you'll get you'll get enough milk every day that over 2 milking days you'll be able to make enough. You'll have enough milk to make a cheese. Okay, Mr. Lopez. Oh, hang on, no, I missed one. Alima says, what happens if you don't ripen the milk before you add the rennet? If the milk's not acidic enough, which you mean by ripening, rennet has a hard time setting the curd. The milk pH has to be slightly above what it is normally. So normally milk's pH the pH is usually 6.8 for cow's milk. After ripening, it goes down. So it's normally about between 6.7 and 6.6 is the pH. Only a very slight drop, but that's enough for rennet to actually work properly on the milk and set the curd. If you don't ripen it, you will find that you have to wait longer for the rennet to work. You'll see a lot of recipes like that, where you add the starter culture, then add the calcium chloride if it's pasteurized, and then add the rennet at the same time, all at the same time. You'll find that have very long renneting times, up to an hour, hour and a half. However, for cheeses that have a long ripening time, a long acid set time, you'll find that the renneting time is either about 30 minutes or 45 minutes. There you go. That's why the times are different. Okay, Mr. Lupez Way. Hey, Kevin. I'm Gavin, not Kevin. Do you think it's possible to smoke the cream cheese that you made? I'm planning to smoke some someday, but I don't know which kind of wood to use. Any recommendations? I've never seen cream cheese smoked. I'd just add liquid smoke to it, a lot less mucking around. However, smoking recommendations The ones I've seen are applewood and cherrywood and mesquite. I think that's how you pronounce it, which is a wood from the plains near Texas, Mexico, that sort of place. But applewood is probably the best and easiest, mildest sort of wood to get for smoking cheese. Anyway, where am I up to? I'm so lost here. Where am I? No, I've done that. Sorry about this, guys. My little thing. Oh, right, here we go. Sorry, my bad. Deb B says, I know you made Leyden cheese once, but it looked like it turned out soft. Have you tried it again? I like the harder Leyden and would like a good tutorial. No, I haven't tried it since. I made it once, unfortunately, and that's it. What I do next time to make it a little bit harder, I would. Now, what did I think I did wrong? If I remember rightly, back to that video, I didn't press it hard enough. I didn't expel enough whey. I put too much cumin seeds in, so I'd use a lot less cumin. You don't need that many. I'd also salt it. I'd leave it in the brine longer as well. I don't think the brine penetrated all the way into the cheese. I didn't put it in long enough. So therefore it didn't inhibit the bacterial activity like it should have. That's kind of why it went soft. So that's what I'd do next time. So I'd press it harder, I'd brine it longer, and I'd use less cumin. So, and that'll make it a lot harder, like a proper Gouda with, or Kamina as it's known. Nicholas says, are you familiar with São Jorge queso, or queijo, from the Azores, Portugal? It's like a sharp cheese. Try and get some and make it. I will write that down. No, I haven't tried it. It's very hard to get any sort of cheese into Australia that has not been pasteurised, the milk. They're very strict laws here in Australia. Okay, guitar player 38 says, I meant when the process is done, the Parmesan cheese breaks. Oh, okay. I don't think you're pressing it hard enough, basically. With Parmesan, you really have to apply so much pressure. I apply the full spring tension of my spring press, so that's 22 kilograms of pressure on the small plate that I have, which is 50 pounds. So as heavy as you possibly can, without breaking things, but that works the best. Mr. Lupez Way says also, could you make a video of applewood cheddar cheese? I have a cheddar. They're all the same usually, but I'll have a look. That's basically a smoked cheese. Cheddar. Okay. NKY says, I've been making different Derby cheeses, or Derby cheeses, however you want to pronounce it. I have been following a recipe. It doesn't seem to hold together well after I take it out of the mold. Vac packing and time seem to fix it. Is that normal? Yeah, unfortunately, because the curd really does cool down. If you can keep it warm during its really basic cheddaring period, then you'll find that the curd tends to stick together better in the press. I had to put a lot of pressure on that derby that I made, the sage derby. But yeah, so keep the curds warm and they will then stick together a lot better. If you find they're cold when you're pressing, then yeah, they've got a better chance of falling apart after it comes out of the press. But yeah, you seem to have a very good recovery regime there of vac packing, which would work very well. Okay, Seeker says, Tom du Marc de Raison, which is French, made from cow's milk sowed in Marc white brandy, then covered with dry versions of grapes used for the Marc and let mature and dry. It has a fruit and alcohol taste. That sounds very nice. Hang on, I'm onto another page. Hang on. So I've made a tome before, but I don't think I did it right. I did a video for I vac packed. I should have let it develop a rind naturally, but I'm really running out of room in my cheese fridge. It is at the moment full. So before I make a cheese video, I actually have to pull a cheese out, taste test it, and then make another one so I can put it in there. Because I've got so many ripening boxes on the go at the moment. I think I've got three ripening boxes plus about 6 cheeses in there. It's only a small fridge, so yeah, I'm struggling at the moment. So I might have to make some more fresh cheeses, which would probably fix that. Give me a bit of time is what I need. Okay. Okay, great suggestion though, Seeker. Thank you. Premislaw, I think that's how you pronounce it. Greetings from Poland. Best channel about cheese making on YouTube, and I apologise if I butchered your first name. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Kim says, hello, wife. You should make a video about adding your dried fruit to the cheese and repressing it again. That is a good video. Adding fruit. Thanks, hon. Okay. NKY says, I've done a derby with Merlot and it was awesome. You should try it. Okay. I think I've got enough for the whole year now. I'll keep it coming. I don't mind. Will says, hey, Gavin, are there any cheeses you don't like? Yeah, I wasn't quite partial to the, what was it called? St. Marcelin. It was okay the first time I tried it. And then the second time I tried it, it nearly made me puke. It was just overripe, too much ammonia, too many sour tastes. I don't think it was off, but I'll tell you what, it was a bit different. So, yeah. Okay. Anyway, we'll move along. Rachel says, would you ever try to make an apple cheese on your show? And if so, would you be willing to sell some of it afterwards? An apple. I would not be able to sell it, unfortunately. Legally here in Australia, you have to have been inspected by, I think it's Food Standards Australia or Food Safety Australia, and get certified by Dairy Australia to be able to sell your cheese. All I've got is a normal home kitchen. I would need to deck out. Everything would need to be stainless steel. Everything would have to have a curved floor. I don't know if you've seen those, where your stuff can't get stuck in the corner, where you can actually spray the room out after you've made cheese. That would cost me over $20,000 to set up a separate kitchen. I have to build a separate room on my house if I was going to do that. So, unfortunately, I can't sell it. I can only give it away, but then it wouldn't be worth my while either, would it? And you would have to sign a waiver for any libel. Anyway, we'll move on. Danny said, hey, Gavin, I've just tried a cheddar that has been soaked in wine. I've also seen a cheese made with wine during the milling step. Would you make a video on either of these cheeses? Yeah, I've got it on my list. I'll put it back on again. Drunken cow or drunken goat. So they are varieties, and I think they're mainly made in Italy and Spain. And the wine actually does something. It stops the rind from going mouldy, which is the main reason they used to use wine to preserve cheese like that. So that works quite well. Kim says something about, be nice about sheep, darling. They are cute. Yes, they are, but they're fairly stupid. Once one goes through a gap in the fence, they all follow it, whether it's good or bad. Anyway, I love cheese. Me too. Sorry about calling you Kevin. I'm on the phone and autocorrect is messing. Oh, okay, yes. I fully understand. I accept your apology. McKay says, we make traditional cheddar based on your video, and it turned out amazing. Thanks for everything you do. Thanks, McKay. Appreciate it. That cheddar video was, it was one of my better ones. I wouldn't say the better. The cheese just absolutely, after a year, oh, it was absolutely fantastic. Marcel, how are you? Where I'm up to. Deborah tracked a message. I'm off to bed. Have a good day. See you, Fam Health. Enjoy the show. Thanks for doing it. Thanks and thanks. It's nearly that time. I've got 10 minutes to go. Timothy says, can you make a coloured cheese like blue or pink, for example? Ooh. Food colouring is not necessarily added to cheese because it kind of imparts some flavour. The only colour they usually put into cheese is it's a dye called a natto. And a natto is made from the seed of a bush that's native to South America. And they crush up the seeds, soak it in water, and it becomes this like red colouring. But when you add it to cheese, it turns yellow. But yeah, I couldn't see why you couldn't add different types of colourings, as long as they're natural colouring. So things like you could use, now what they used to use before natto came along in England when they made cheddar style cheeses, was safflowers. Now safflowers is a really orange flower petal, and when you soak it in water, you get a really orangey liquid, which doesn't have much flavour at all. So you could make teas of herbs and stuff, get different colours that way. Probably the best way to change the colour of your milk. Now, when you do use a natto, though, you add it before you add the rennet. Okay, so you got to culture it first, raise the acidity, add the annatto, then add the other ingredients, because it does kind of kill off the bacteria if you add them before. Okay, Mr. Lupus says, thanks, Gavin, for your videos and giving us your precious time. Keep up your brilliant job, and please don't stop. I agree, this being the best cheese-making tutorials on the interwebs. Thank you very much, Mr. Lupus. I'm eating some cheese right now. Well, I'm not, but Alima is. Mark says, hi, Mr. Webber. I'm relatively new to your channel. And by the way, great channel. I wanted to know if you sell some of your cheeses to make on your channel. I just covered that, unfortunately, Mark. No, I don't sell anything because I don't have a license to sell it. All I do is show home cheese makers how to make their own cheese. And you can too, if you've watched some of the videos. That's the best satisfaction I get, is sharing my experience and teaching people how to make their own cheese via video. I also do live courses. We do two courses every 3 months here in Melton where we live. So, okay, Vizio says, have you ever done Sherv? I'm going to get goats in spring. Yes, we have. Kim, if you can find the Sherv video and pop the link up there for Vizio, that would be lovely. Alima says, that's why sheep need a shepherd. That's correct. And it goes on to say, would maturing cheese like cheddar in a pot of honey be good? I have a lot of honey from my 2 hives. I don't know. I've never tried it. And I've never seen anything about it. I've read a lot. Yeah, no, I'm not sure. You would have to keep it at 13 degrees Celsius, whatever you do. Try it. Give it a go. And then write back and tell the community. Everybody would love to hear it. Freedom Music says, going to try and make some cheese. Well done. Ladybug Lover, could you use a shaped pressable mold to, say, make heart-shaped cheese? Yeah, that's how they make Neufchâtel. They actually... Oh, thank you, D. Redder. I appreciate it. Big thumbs up to you. They actually make... it's a mold ripened cheese. It's in the shape of a heart. It's called Neufchâtel. And basically, they make the curds for, say, a camembert, and then they crumble them all up, and then they press them into a heart shape, and then that gets a white mold coating over it. So that's what they do. That's how they do it. They don't press it in there. It naturally forms the cheese. And they actually have one of the rare pressed white mold cheeses, if in factories anyway, is Neufchâtel. Okay. Okay. Sika, have you visited any country that is significant for cheese making? France, UK, Switzerland, Italy, etc. Yes, I visited all those countries. Um, and I think I've had cheese in every single one. I had cheese in France. We had some Roquefort. In the UK, we went to Cheddar. We went to Somerset and had some Cheddar. In Switzerland, we had a fondue made from Gruyere. In Italy, we had fresh mozzarella, and we visited a factory where they made Parmesan. This is all in my youth before I became cheese crazy. But yeah, I'd love to do a tour, an international tour again someday, and just go and visit cheese factories. That would be absolutely good fun. And artisan cheesemakers, a bit like what the Aussie guy Will Studd does for that TV show Cheese Slices. I don't know if you've seen it. It's it normally airs. Yeah, I think it's up to season 8 or something. But yeah, he's an Australian and he visits all artisan cheesemakers and some cheese factories throughout the world, and just checks out cheese. Pretty cool dude. He actually imports some cheeses, some raw milk cheeses into Australia, the ones you're allowed to. Okay. NKY says, I used seaweed from the health store to aid with colour for my sage derby. That's a great recommendation. Somebody used spinach juice. I think you can buy it in the UK, or make it yourself, easy enough. So spinach juice, add a bit of that to the curds, and that'll help make the marbling green as well as the sage, of course, because without any colourant, it doesn't look too green at all. Shout out to my friend Nick Gert. You make the best videos. Thanks. Jonathan says, has anybody told you that the chair you're sitting in makes it look like Darth Vader is standing right behind you? No, but it looks it is comfy. It's one of those gaming chairs you can sit in for ages because I've got a bad back. So anyway, Moist Andy says, I prefer my cheeses to be at the late ripeness stage. I've been putting manchego on salad and it's delicious with green mold on the rind. What cultures do you know about for goat milk cheese? Most of the cultures are the same, whether you use goat's milk, sheep's milk, or ewe's milk. They're essentially the same. It doesn't really matter what type of milk you use. It's the culture. Well, it does matter because you get a different flavour and texture and all that sort of stuff. But the cultures are mainly the same, especially around with the green moulds and stuff like that. Green-blue moulds, so Penicillium roqueforti, and there's one other that they add to fresh gorgonzola. I can't remember. I was trying to buy it yesterday. I can't remember what it was. It was penicillium something. Makes green mold. Okay, anyway, moving right along, and we've got 2 minutes to go. 2 minutes. Kim's put up a link. Thanks, Kim. Common Guy Chris, where do you purchase your cheese-making materials? Kim's already answered it. Fantastic. Can you make velvety? No, and I know you're joking. I watched a tutorial for making mozzarella from powdered milk. What are your thoughts on the method? Yes, it's possible. Doesn't make the best cheese, though. He's a gamer. I'm not a gamer. I just like the chair. Kim's already throwing up the links for the end of the show because I'm running over time. Thank you, Kim, for the reminder. Yes, don't forget to, if you would like, support the show via Patreon. And the link is there, www.patreon.com/greeningagavin. It's a monthly pledge to become a patron of the show to keep it going every week. Don't forget, there's still time to super chat, just like D. Redder did. And that was fantastic. Thank you very much. Kim's also put a link up to the merch store where you can buy cups and T-shirts, certified curd nerd, all that sort of good gear. Okay, how do I kill bee linens in the fridge? With white vinegar. Spray it everywhere and then wipe it off. That'll get rid of it. Okay, and our online store, of course, is littlegreenworkshops.com.au. I've got one cheesy joke. Here we go. And this is from this little book called Say Cheese. The cheesy joke of the week is, which cheese is made backwards? And the answer is Edam. Get it? Made backwards. That's excellent. All righty. No problems at all. Thank you so much, everybody. Without your questions, the show wouldn't happen. And I really do appreciate you turning up week after week. It never ceases to amaze me, the amount of people that drop into these live shows and ask cheesy questions. Thanks again, Curd Nerds, and we'll see you next time.
Well, g'day, Curd Nerds. G'day, Curd Nerds.
Well, g'day, Curd Nerds.
Well, g'day, Curd Nerds.
Well, g'day, Curd Nerds.
Well, g'day, Curd Nerds.